Well, everybody, welcome back once again to the channel. We're on the live stream. I'm doing something a little bit different this week, as you can see by the thumbnail that I put out there. Yeah, we're going to go for that good old news kind of thing. We're going to do that this week. So, what's cooking on the news? Could be a lot of things, could be little things and everything else. But I'm going to let everybody pile in before we get started. So that way, y'all don't miss out on anything. Hello, MTBK. Player, good to see you. I'll let everybody roll in before we get this good old thing started, like usual. And see what we got cooking. Pull up the information. Let's see. I know there's some things I want to talk about. Hello, Sherman. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. There are some things I want to talk about, and one of them is going to be talking about that Windows 11 24H2, the recall. That I want to talk about. Make sure y'all got your drink and snacks, by the way. All right. Since I got... Oh, I like that. Okay. What's been going on with the recall is this. Windows decided to pull it back and off the docket for a little while. So finding out that, once they did that, they had to take and scrub the initial launch of Copilot Plus PC because they decided that they're getting too much backlash from the recall. So they had to pull it back. So I don't think we're going to see... Hello, Machine. Good to see you. Good to see you. I don't think... Hello, Doctor. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. I don't think... And I want you guys' honest opinion about this Windows 11 24H2, the recall that they were doing. We all know I could pull that up, that keynote that they did. But I'm going to save you all the time and falling asleep and everything else with that. And I analyzed how they came up with the recall. How they came up with the recall was that I guess one of Microsoft's employees was shopping for a dress but couldn't remember what page it was on. So I guess that inspired them and gave them a new idea that they're going to put a supermarket on Windows. Thinking about it, I mean, it's kind of silly the way they presented it. They could have presented it a lot better for a business kind of orientation, but they didn't. They gave it more or less like a feel at home kind of thing, but it was no feel at home kind of thing. Everybody was pretty much frantic over, what they were talking about. Having your PC record you and everything else. I mean, they don't do enough by all the telemetry they pack into our PCs on the operating system. Don't you think they do enough with that? I mean, to me, that kind of seems like that they already packed our PCs full of stuff to track us. That's one. Two, they hold the keys to our PC. There's a master key that Microsoft holds to every one of our PCs that are registered to Microsoft. So if they wanted to see what we were doing, they can slip right in and guess what? They can see everything we're doing. They could spy on us if they wanted to. So that's kind of a security breach even more than than the recall that they're going to put out there. So MTBK says, I don't blame Microsoft for not wanting to earn money, only that their marketing is worse than others, I would say. This could be way more based. Yeah, it could have been done a lot better than what they did. First of all, if they were going to use up hard drive space to do that, they could have said, okay, well, you guys, in order to run, Windows Recall, you need to put it onto a separate solid state drive. They could have put the whole thing on a separate solid state drive, the program and everything. And that way they could lock it up. Nobody can get to it, not even them. And kept it away from, your operating system. Or what they could have done was they could have put it into the Microsoft Store and gave everybody an option to pick it if they want it or not. They could have. This way, they can say, okay, well, if you want to put it on your PC, then you can go into the Microsoft Store and pick it out yourself. And the people that didn't want it don't have to, install it. It should have been that way. So. Oh, player, you say you're putting your recall on a 7-year hard drive. Believe it or not, you already do. You do it in the upper memory. See, now, the way years ago Microsoft had it, and people got pissed when they found out, was that in your upper memory that you're just supposed to keep, the operations to the master boot record was only supposed to be in your upper memory. But Microsoft decided that they were going to track you by putting it into the upper memory system with the master boot record. So they made it a little bit larger, didn't tell anybody, and they did that because they said, well, you got to have a certain program in order to get into it. And it's just used for law enforcement if they decide to pull your PC. This was years ago. So keep that in mind. But now with solid state drives and using a different type of master boot record, they don't have that option anymore. So now they're coming out with the fact of, well, let's try to do recall and just pull it out of the closet and put it right up front. That's pretty much what they did. And try to play it off as, well, I couldn't find something on the PC. Oh, I have memory loss. Well, if you got Alzheimer's, you should not be on the PC. If you can't remember where you put something and you can't write yourself a sticky note, why in the hell are you going to make everybody in the world suffer because you can't remember where you put something? Am I wrong or right about this? Think about it. Just because one person has A memory relapse doesn't mean that everybody's having that same relapse. I can remember everything I do on my PC. I don't need for a program to tell me that. But if you do, then you better start writing yourself some sticky notes. That's for sure. There's also another reason I brought up the recall about this, and I'm gonna bring it up just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, now I am going to pull you to the action screen. I pulled you to the action screen. Something I forgot to turn off, but okay. I turned it off so you guys don't see it being annoying. Now, here I have pulled up Windows Explorer. Okay. Windows Explorer has what they call your recent activities right here. Recent activities. It has your favorites, your recent activities. Why would you need recall? Do you think all the things I've done on my PC that it doesn't see it? Right here, everything that I've done on my PC is right in front of me. I don't need recall for that. Well, I'm just saying, you don't need recall when you got everything that you do on your desktop right in your Windows Explorer. You have it right in front of you. Or when you go to, let's say, your website or whatever, we'll bring this up. You have a history button on your web pages. You have a history button that has everything recorded. Why do you need your PC to remind you about where you've been last when it comes to, yes, we're on WCCF Tech. Usually I go there and I shake a gander, but we're going to hit the home button because what we're going to do is we're going to go to video cards. Take you guys a little bit on this adventure this week. So this has been the talk about it. Okay. Qualcomm. Let that sink in for a moment while we talk about this. Okay. They pulled back recall, and now they tested their laptops. Guys, don't get baked into the hype. I always said this, and I'm going to keep saying this again. Wait for the independent benchmarks to come out before you decide to buy products. This is why. Okay, now this is the Qualcomm Adreno GPU tested with Windows games. Okay, Adreno. Okay, is this not sinking in a little bit? They're using an Adreno for a motherboard. And you guys know what the Adreno is. Okay. They're using it for a motherboard, testing it with their Snapdragon processor. Okay. And this is the results at 1080p low. 1080p low, guys. Cyberpunk 2077, 34 FPS. Baldur's Gate 3, 35 FPS. Overwatch 2, well, it got a good score, 83 FPS. Pal World, 39 FPS. Helldivers 2, 41 FPS. Now tell me that your computer that you got right now doesn't do as good as this. And you know what I mean by this. Tell me that your computer won't do above these numbers right now. If you got a laptop, I guarantee your numbers are going to outbeat this. Okay. Now, this Copilot Plus PC, I'm not knocking it. It's something that is, to me, is going to be based more upon business than it is going to be for gaming. Their integrated graphics are not cutting the standard for laptops. The laptop you got now is going to be a hell of a lot better than what's cooking here. Their neural processing unit is not keeping up with it. So what do you think about this? I mean, I saw this and I was like, there's no way that people are going to buy this. Well, it might not be good in an aspect machine, but anybody that gets 82 to 83 FPS on any game are going to be tickled like crazy. I know with Overwatch, it takes a lot more because it uses up a lot more graphics, but these are the tests that people are putting out. These are the average numbers people are putting out about these laptops. And I know, MTBK, you had your heart set on one of these newfangled Copilot Plus PC laptops. I wouldn't count these for anything at this point. You know. They buy this if energy prices were 10 times that high. You know, maybe they would, but maybe your laptop would pull the same amount of energy that this pulls and the same amount of battery life that this has is the same amount that you got on yours. So I want you to really think about that, because independence testing is, and what I'm hearing from friends and everything else, they're telling me there's no difference. There is no difference between your laptop and this one, except for yours is going to run faster than this because you have better graphics than this has. This, I don't know why they keep saying it's for gaming. It's not. So, yeah, the Lunar Lake laptops are kind of interesting. Next generation. Get some hyperscaling, 8 performance cores again. Yeah, but they're not going to do hyper threading. They're going to use the E cores to substitute for the hyper threading. They've already announced this, that they're replacing the hyper threading with the E cores. So, unless for every P core they give you 4 E cores, and if you got 8 P cores, then you should have how many E cores? You should have 32. So if they give you 32 E cores with 8 P cores, then yeah, I would say that's going to be a better deal. Because now you got 4 times the amount of lanes that are, soaking up information. So, for me right now, if it doesn't have a dedicated GPU, it's not very good for gaming. Well, true, player, that is true. It's not going to be great for gaming. I can tell you that it's not going to be great at all for gaming. But I'm going to back up just a minute and say that's 50-50. Because the 5600G that I got will play low, it'll play older games, but it still will game. And that's integrated graphics. And the 8700G is not that bad on older games, but with your new AAA games, yeah, you can't play that. AMD person only. Yeah, I don't blame you. We all are too. I'm running the 5700X. That's what, equal to a 12400 on the Intel side. I think they said 12400. So it's 8% slower than a 5600X3 or 5800X3D. 8% slower, but it still games. It still does content creating and everything else. That's why I like the 5700X, because it's in between the 5600X and it's in, basically it's from the 5900X to the 5600X. It just lands right in the middle. In my opinion, it does. Okay, 5700X is only 5% slower than a 5800X, and it's only 8% slower than a 5800X 3D. I think it's a little bit more, maybe 12%. So, yep, you're running the AM5 7700X there, machine. I'm running AM4. Because like I told you guys before, the AM5 platform it's right there on the fine line with me. When they come out with something better that's going to entice me, that's going to make me want to go to that platform, they got to give me a better price to performance and definitely something that's going to be stable, other than hearing all these instabilities that they've been having on AMD. Boards burning up and stuff like that, Don't feel bad. Intel's in the same boat. So they're both rocking the same boat right now. So MTBK says, for now, I would buy some Snapdragon processor for a cell phone. True that. I can't complain about x86 processor being bad. I don't either. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, it does game. So, and you can run anything you want when it comes to a graphics card. Well, if you're on a desktop, yeah. But if you're on a laptop, I know that's kind of a gray area, but I understand that. We talk about possible improvements, but still x86 is my thing. Yeah, it's pretty much, it's been everybody's thing for the last, 50 years and more? Maybe 55, well, about 6 years, somewhere in there. So, Dr. S says, I game with the 5600X. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Truthfully, I got a 5700X. Not much difference from a 5600X to a 5700X to a 5800X. It's all in the X family. So we're X'd. We're literally X'd. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to the main screen so you guys can see me better. There we go. Yep. So I'm an Intel person currently. Yes, player, you are. And so is MTBK. You both are. Sherman says, I run a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. I still waiting for the news Ryzen 9 9950X3D. Besides, I got you there, Sherman. But they're going to, spoiler, wait till September. Intel's bringing out their processors in September, hopefully. And AMD is going to bring out their X3D processors for the 9000 series in September as well. Spoiler. And also, too, rumors about... Now, we'll go back. We'll wait. We'll go a little bit, and then we'll talk about NVIDIA. So, Dr. S says, I have an Intel 11600K also. It's not a bad processor. Look, I'm going to tell you all, when it comes to Intel, everybody knocked the 11th gen. Everybody cried about the 11th gen, that it wasn't the best. I've heard all these stories and everything else about 11th gen. It's either you got the 10th gen, the 9th gen, or the 12th gen. But the 11th gen, everybody just said, don't get it. It is not worth it. That's what was the rumor that was spread for many, 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 many months. So, MTBK says, I wait for AMD to not claim a 5900 XT is not as fast as an i7 13700K in gaming. You know, truthfully, I agree with you. Now, you got to have to understand about the 5900 XT. It's got the same amount of cores that the 5950X has. But precision-wise, it's still, the 5950X is going to be a little bit faster than the 5900 XT. AMD made a little bit of a screw up. A lot of people are starting to talk about it. I'm sure you're going to hear about it, and y'all are going to be wondering, what kind of screw up did they make? Well, some people are saying they screwed up on the cache on it. Said they didn't implement enough cache to it. That's what they said. You know, it kind of makes it struggle a little bit. And also too, Hardware Unboxed did a video on the 5800X and put it up against a 13700K. Big performance gap, 10 to 12, 13% difference between the two. So, big difference. Okay, MTBK says Rocket Lake is a 14 nanometer backport to Tiger Lake. I think it's a little better than 10th gen Comet Lake. Tech Yes City loves the i9 10900K's snappiness. Well, isn't the 10900K a 16 core processor? So, and Monolithic was a better die too. Yeah. Look, I agree. Monolithic is a better die because then you got everything compressed onto one, that it makes a shorter route than it does with chiplets. Some people are saying, oh, chiplets are faster, but in actuality, your signals got more wire to transfer through using chiplets being spaced than you do actually having a monolithic die. And plus the heat spread The heat spread on your CPU is way different than the heat spread that's on a monolithic die. I noticed the difference because mine is not monolithic, I don't think. I didn't really investigate it, but I should. So, 4070 for $600, a good deal. Yes, I paid $600 for my 4070, but they got it down to $529, if you're wondering. And also, too, a better deal for you if you don't like ray tracing would be the 7900 GRE for around the same price. So you might want to keep that in consideration, too, as it's just one step down from the 7900 XT. And you get 16 cores on your GPU. So, me, I got 7800 XT. I think it's just as good. So, MTBK says, I think $600 for an RTX 4070 was a good price 6 months ago. I bought mine well over a year ago. So, back then it was a decent price. Now that you can get them cheaper. But I did get mine on, I did use some rebates and stuff like that and got mine for almost nothing. So, what is your PSU wattage, player? Oh, that's between you and player there, machine. AMD RX 7900 GRE, the Golden Rabbit Edition. Most efficient RDNA 3 desktop graphics card. Yeah, it is. But when you can get a 7800 XT for $479 compared to spending what? $560 for the Golden Rabbit Edition. If you look at the price, the price gap between the two, is the amount of price to performance worth that price gap? You asked yourself that question. Yes, it's Golden Rabbit Edition, not Green Rabbit Edition. So, moving on. I know everybody is waiting for AMD to bring out their processors, their CPUs. But the talk is July the 31st. It would have been nice. It would have been nice if AMD did it on July the 4th, Independence Day. It would have been perfect. They didn't do that. So that's kind of a deal breaker, a little bit. But they do have that 9600X. That's supposed to be what, $239 for the 9600X or something like that. You guys can correct me on that, but I think it's $230, or I might be wrong. It might be $280. But I heard the price they were talking was that it's supposed to be just as good as the 70. And I know they didn't say this. It's supposed to be better than this, or just as good as the 7700X. The 9600X. That's what I heard. Amazon Prime Day is coming up in a few weeks. Yeah, I can't wait to see what that's going to be cooking on. I'm definitely going to have to do a live segment on that for sure. Machine, I'm going to definitely have to work out doing a live segment on that day. Definitely. Player, I wouldn't even scratch a nickel paying $2,500 for a 4090. That would equal up to, in our price, it'd be about $1,700 here in the United States. 17, close to, yeah, around $1,700. That's what it says on the market right now. It's around $1,700 for a 4090. So, but it was pushing up towards 2,300. So the market dropped down a little bit for your 4090. They need to drop that thing down to $1,000 and start dropping the prices. It don't matter which one's on sale or whatever the case is. I'm going to tell you all simply like this. When it comes to that 12 volt high power connection they got on there, I wouldn't touch it. I would not touch it for the life of me. I wouldn't even give them $1 out of my pocket for that 4090. No matter how good it is, it's still not going to change the fact of giving, what is it giving you? A little bit more FPS? It's not going to change how your screen's going to act, because they all, in general, when it comes to graphics cards, do about almost equal to the same when it comes to putting, the video onto your monitor. So you look at the general practicality to it a little bit. So MTBK says my i9 10900K system has a 300 watt PSU and a GTX 1650, and it works. Cool, man. Long as it works, that's all that matters. Machine says, but Jay, the 4090 has your favorite power connect. Man, roll that back. That is no. Not even this, the 4070. This one right here does not have that 12 volt high power connector. It has an 8-pin power connector, which I like, but it does not have that 12 volt high power connector. The RTX 4070 is the only graphics card in that lineup for the 40 series that has an 8-pin connector. So that makes it even better than people think. So MTBK says they sold it sub 1,500 over here at some point. Now I'd rather wait for the next generation. Yeah, you're best off. You're best off. I would wait. That's exactly what I'm doing, is waiting for sure. A melty one. It's already in USDJ. Oh, okay. Well, the ones that I've seen over on Amazon, I've seen a couple on Amazon for 1,700 there, player. So just to let you know that. Jay can talk about this for 2 hours. Oh, thanks, MTBK. I mean, you look at the facts. I've been listening to the facts and watching YouTube with other reviewers and stuff. I'm not aligning with them when it comes to certain things. I'm not aligning with it because usually it doesn't turn out accurate. They say one thing and it turns out to be another. Then when I say it happens, it happens. That's kind of obvious, So Sherman says, I want PCIe 5.0 graphics card. How many years to wait for it? How many years to wait for it? Well, we're at 4.0. They just put PCIe 5.0 on the motherboards for your graphics card. That's only going to have 8 lanes when they first roll out instead of 16 lanes. Spoiler, if you run your graphics card at 8 lanes, you're starving your graphics card for information. It's going to be it's going to be a stuttering mess. I'm going to tell you that. But I've been hearing they're going to do the PCIe 5.0. They're going to start it off at 8 lanes instead of full 16. So do expect that to happen. Until I hear more about it, that's what I hear down the pipeline. So just to let you know that. The 4060 has 8-pin power connector. Yeah, and it also has 8 lanes too. PCIe 4.0 x8. That's what makes that card starve so much. Is because it doesn't have an... If they made the 4060 Ti with 16 lanes, it would have been a better card. It would have been a way better card. But they didn't. So they starve it again. This 12-volt high power connector. Burn the 12-volt high power connector. Oh, you're talking about machine. You're talking about that the 4060 has an 8-pin connector. That's kind of weird because I hear that it had that 12-volt high power connector, but I didn't hear anything about it having an 8-pin connector. This is new to me, man. I do believe you. Don't get me wrong. It's just this is the first time hearing of it. This must have been something they changed later on down the road, but pretty much it started. They said it comes with a 12-volt. That's what I heard. It's 12-volt high power connector that was going on it. But yeah, it wouldn't. Yeah, I agree with you, but it wouldn't make sense to put that 12-volt high power connector on a 4060 because it doesn't draw that much power. So yeah, I can see them using an 8-pin connector. So yeah, I can see it, but it still has only 8 lanes. It doesn't do any good. It's just starving it even more. So, player says, "I'll cook my morning eggs on the back plate of a 4090." Not me, man. I want nothing to do with the 4090. Poor me, my 4060 laptop GPU is 8 lanes. Well, I don't know about the laptop, but I can tell you the desktop, they said it's 8 lanes. I'll look it up. I'm probably wrong. Hey, if you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I don't have a 4060 in front of me. I have a 4070. At least I know what that's doing. But with the 4060, I really didn't invest much time into seeing what it was about. Maybe I should. From what people are talking right now is like, don't get a 4060. It's nothing but garbage. That's what I've been hearing from, other reviewers. I don't believe that. I believe it's a good entry level card for the 40 series, the 4060. So 16 lanes cost $1 more, so it's a no-brainer depending on who we ask. Yeah, it's not. It's not a no-brainer. Player says for NVIDIA is a no-go. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of flipped up in the air about that. Because the simple fact is that with the NVIDIA graphics card I got, even though that it's an AIB partner card, and it's not a Founders Edition, Asus, it's an Asus card. It's overclockable. I don't have any problems with it. And the best thing about that is, here's the kicker. My 4070, I can run the software program for NVIDIA, its control panel, with no problem. And run MSI Afterburner and still overclock with MSI Afterburner, having both programs in there running. Now with AMD and that 7800, I can't run MSI Afterburner. It blue screens it every time. I forgot to mention that too. So you either want to run the Adrenaline program, or you just put the drivers in and run MSI Afterburner. That's a choice you'll have to make. Truthfully, you have to make that. I can't make that. But after using the AMD Adrenaline with this 7800 XT, I can't get that over. As far as I pushed it, it only went up to 2600 megahertz. Now with the 4070, I pushed it way over 3000 megahertz. No brainer to which one to go with. So let's see. Oh, really? A lot of overkill. Yeah, player, it's pretty much is a lot of overkill. But now these days with the games, overkill seems like it's underrated. Just saying it's underrated. Okay. Yeah, it has an 8-pin connector and 4060. Okay. That's cool. I bought a RX. Dr. S says I bought a RX 7600 just to have a graphics for this second PC. 7600's not bad. Machine will tell you he's got a 7600. He ran it for a while. It's not that bad of a card. I'm not knocking it. It's not that bad, but I'm just saying the software for AMD has not been the greatest for many of years. Not saying it's bad. It's not the greatest. It's not. It's just on that fine line. That's to me, that's kind of a thing now. So, player says the only thing that can be bad on a card is the price. Yeah. Pseudoscientist, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dr. S says, I'm sure those entry-level cards are fine. They are entry-level. Yeah, you're right. They are entry-level. There's nothing wrong with them. I mean, not unless you're wanting to never play AAA games in, the best way you want to play them, I mean, some people are still struggling with 8 gigabytes of VRAM now. 12 gigabytes is starting to become the new normal when it comes to graphics cards. So, these older graphics cards are going out of date. And I keep telling everybody that. You guys are going to see that, these older graphics cards are going to start slipping out of date because they can't keep up with the amount of VRAM that's needed. So you're going to struggle with it. I can tell you, you are going to struggle with it. Unless you get a card that has more VRAM on it, then pretty much you'll be fine. But I got at least another 3 or 4 years on this graphics card because it's, got 12 gigabytes of VRAM. I'm only using 8 gigabytes right now out of the 12. The games I play, I'm only using 8 gigabytes out of the 12. Some I use not even 2 to 3 gigabytes. So it's the games you choose. How about that? I guess it's only morning for me. Oh, player, sorry about that being only morning for you. It's nighttime for me, actually. It's almost dark over here. Wow. MTBK says the laptop gang would go nuts for a 5060 mobile. Get 12 gigabytes of VRAM? Really? Come on, man. Let's kind of push it up there a little bit to saying like 10,600 megahertz, 64 gigs of RAM. Oh, you meant graphics card. Oh, I thought you were talking about the operating system or the CPU. But that is something to think about, guys. 12 gigabytes of VRAM is not bad right now, but I can tell you in another 3 years, it's not going to be the normal because 16 gigabytes is going to be the normal in the next 3 years. It's already being planned out. So, yeah, and that sucks too. That they're going to put 12 gigabytes of VRAM on a 5070. That's not right. The 4060 Ti starts at €366 here. I would save your money up a little bit more and go the 7700 XT. They're not at a bad price with the 7700 XT right now. Not much is for sure till I see some reviews. Pseudoscientist, you're exactly right. Until we see the reviews, we don't know. And look, if I get my hands on them, you know I'm going to definitely do a live review with you guys. You know I'm going to take it live and show you guys what I got cooking. If I can get my hands on it, we'll definitely do that. So, Dr. S says, I will get more than 8 gigabytes next time unless it's 1,000 grand monies. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much going right now to get 16 gigabytes. Well, no. This right here is half that. It's $479 and it's got 16 gigabytes. It might be AMD. But the thing is this, the rasterization on that 7800 XT keeps up with the 4070. So I'm happy with it either way you look at it. So, and plus 2 free games. Yes, Machine, you got that right. You can get, if you get on the right bundle sale, you can get 2 free games. And you can either get a 7700 XT or a 7800 XT. But when you figure how much, you know you're going to go for the highest price games. When it comes to those free bundles, you know you're going to go for the highest price games. So minus that off of the total cost of your GPU, and that's how much you actually paid for it. Because you got 2 free games. So it's just something to think about. Reviewers, 12 gigabytes is the new normal. Me with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. Look, I'm going to... There's your 4 gigabytes of VRAM. Right there. I've had this card right here on the shelf for close to 3 to 4 years, something like that. But yeah, it just sat. It just sat there. I didn't do anything with it. I might use it on an older system, one I might flip sooner or later, so I keep it on the side. MTBK says, can't wait for the 5060 Ti to obliterate the RX 7700 XT. It could happen. You never know. It's always good to keep a positive motion in the ocean out there. So, yeah, it's always good to keep that going. 2 free games for full price each, and they are not even Final Fantasy VII. So I am not the deal buyer for those GPU game bundles. Well, some people it might be, some people it won't. You have to accept that. So I have a 1050 Ti just sitting now. Yeah. The only thing that I might use that thing for that I got back there is doing a NAS server. That might be what I use it for, is a NAS server. I got to do it sooner or later and build me a bigger server, so this way I can take the load off of my PC and put all my videos into a big server. So that's something I got to work on and that's coming in the future, guys. That's coming in the future, because I doubt I'm going to take and keep switching out M.2 drives. It's not going to happen. So, but here's a little thing that I did hear about the 50 series. It seems that Gamers Nexus had a little video go on with Kingpin, and they were talking about when the launch of the 50 series cards were going to be. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Gamers Nexus slipped up and said end of the year for the 5080. So I'm expecting it near the end of the year in Q4 for the 5080 to come out. Maybe the 5090 too. Maybe they're going to launch both at the end of the year. So that might be something we can look forward to, because usually when, a reviewer slips up and, everybody catches it, it is what it is. So 3060 TiOC on my game PC. It's not bad, Dr. S. It's got 12 gigabyte of VRAM. You said 3060 Ti. I have to look that up. I think it is 12, or it could be 8. I'm not too sure. Look, my mind's just so twisted. I'm thinking more into the future right now, but Machine says November is my guess for the 5080. Yeah, it would have been my guess too, but he emphasized a little bit more towards the end of the year. Usually when people do that, they say around Christmas time, when they slip. I love it when Gamers Nexus is slipping up, MTBK says. Hey, You just got to watch the fine line of everything and watch what people say, and you'll get more information than you think. So Machine says 3060 Ti is an 8 gigabyte. That's what never made sense to me. The 3060 has 12 gigabytes, but the 3060 Ti has 8 gigabytes. I never could understand why NVIDIA would have done that. I mean, that's just a wild guess of what they do. But it's not so much a wild guess that they take the 4070, the 4070 Ti, the 4070 Super, and they all put it in 12 gigabytes. And now they're doing the 5070 with 12 gigabytes. Does not make sense. Does not make sense, guys. Why doesn't it make sense? You know, it doesn't. It's crazy. They should be, the 4070 on their 50 series should be 16 gigabytes by now. Why starve the community and make them pay a higher price? I mean, look, I'll even give AMD their props when they did a 7600 XT with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. A 7600 XT with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And that's only got a 128-bit bus. And how they pulled that off, who knows? I'm not questioning it. So that's kind of weird to me that they, cram everything, all that 16 gigabytes into that small size of bus. And then, they come up with the fact of the clamshell kind of thing, where they clamshell it on the front and back. But who knows now? And also, too, AMD says they're not going to GDDR7. They're going to stay on the 6 platform. So it looks like all the new graphics cards that are going to come out is going to be on the 6 platform and not the 7. So that's something to think about, too. Yeah, basically, the more you spend, the more you save, as NVIDIA puts it. Pseudoscientist, you got that right. The more you spend, the broker you become. I agree with you 100%. MTBK says, I think the first 3060 was 12 gigabytes. Laptops was 6. 3050 was 4. Then later 6. Later 3060 desktops were 8 gigabyte and as well. I know, crazy as it becomes. Crazy as it becomes. But you can see that Amazon all day long sells a 3060 12 gigabyte for $300 and some. The reason why they're pushing it is because they're trying to say, well, hell, if the 3060's got 12 gigabytes, then why doesn't the 4070 have 16 gigabytes? Especially having it 2 open slots on that PCB that you can put 2 more chips on it. Yeah. How come it didn't? Guys, I bet you any money I can put 16 gigabytes of VRAM on this 4070. The only problem's going to be is the 8-pin connector, because they didn't use 2 of them. They've only used 1. Oh, yeah. This is it's ludicrous how they're doing things. These little things add up into one big thing. So, Machine says NVIDIA has a sign on the front door of the corporate that says, common sense stops here. Jeez. Yeah, you got that right. Common sense does stop at the front door. That I do agree. pretty much said and put. So we're looking at the Copilot Plus PC, a disaster. We're looking at the new CPUs from AMD. It could turn out well, or it could turn out to be a disaster too. From what other reviewers are saying, I'm just touching back on this a little bit. What other reviewers are saying, and they're running benchmarks on their current processors, matching it to what AMD says, and they even said it does not add up. So that could turn into be another disaster. And on the Intel front, I'm waiting to see what Arrow Lake comes up with. What they come up with Arrow Lake. Especially when they're talking about suspending hyperthreading and using E-cores solely to run with the P-cores for the boost to the P-core. I don't know about that. That sounds sketchy in the least. Good thing you're asking that. Yeah. Machine. Maybe NVIDIA will have a 5000 series leather jacket edition GPU. Maybe. Because I guarantee that's the only thing that's really going to sell is the jacket. So, and the one thing that really kind of bit my butt was the reason why we seen the now I got the facts of the reason why that the Raptor Lake was a refresh, because they weren't gonna, and this is Intel. Raptor Lake was a refresh because they weren't gonna put out Meteor Lake for desktops. So they skipped that gen. Look at it this way. That would have been the next gen up for Intel. They skipped that. And now they'd only do Lunar Lake for the laptops. No desktop. And now we're going to go to the Arrow Lake, and we're going to get half the performance that they're claiming. And that's what a lot of people are saying right now, because that's all they're seeing is half the performance, guys. Half the performance. It's not me saying this, it's other people saying this. Okay? In my opinion, with them cutting down the amount of cores that's going to be on that gen processor for the desktop, you can have one core and you can have 50 threads, but that one core is only going to work the hardest over the 50 threads, because you're going to push so much information. It's like taking this straw right here, guys. Taking this straw and you take and try to shove chapstick. Look at this. Try to shove chapstick through that straw. Do you think it's going to go? It ain't going to go. That pipe is only so big, and, you know, especially when they're only talking about doing what? 8 cores? 8 cores? I don't know. Jensen is my emperor, MTBK says. MTBK says they skip Meteor Lake for desktops because if it's IPC regression compared to Raptor Lake, giving less single core performance. Yeah, but that's not an excuse. They had quite a many years to get that up and running for desktop. But they pushed it for laptop. So this is just telling me that the only thing Intel is really pushing out is laptop grade processors for your desktop. Tell me that doesn't make sense to you. That their processors for your desktop are only going to be just as good as laptop grade. That's pretty much what that's telling me. So, and think about it. This is what the consumer would say. Okay, well, they skip this, and they say it's going to be coming up for this. But what happens if they skip Arrow Lake and say it's just going to be for laptops? Then again, they're only making laptop grade processors. Simple. The Lunar Lake engineers said hyperthreading shines when thread density matters the most. Yeah, well, maybe if they would stop ripping people off with the amount of threads they're using, there wouldn't be a problem. You ever see any of AMD's processors say, okay, you get 8 cores and 12 threads? You ever see that? I have yet to see one processor that doesn't double in the threads. It's just they became so cheap, they can't give you 8 P cores and 16 E cores. 8 cores, 16 thread, same thing. They can't give you 16 threads, E cores, whatever. That's just being cheap. By cutting 4 of them off, you're actually making your 8 P cores work harder, and then you say the density matters the most. Well, when they cut out all the extra threads, yeah, that's the problem they're having, is because they cut out part of it and said, here you go. Whatever you get is what we're giving you. That's pretty much what they did. So they looked at it and thought, nope, we don't need this, need it this time. Well, what happens when they go to Arrow Lake and they say, well, we're just going to do it for laptops? Then that's 1, then that's 2, then that's 3, and then they'll be going to 4 generations later. Because they can't make their processor keep competition with AMD, because it comes down to it all. The 7800X3D is kind of pushing past Meteor Lake and all that right now, the way it's looking. So you have to go to the heart of the truth of this. I mean, back then, years ago, Intel was giving the same amount of cores and threads to their processor to the community. Now they come up with this P-core, E-core crap just to cut cost. To cut cost, they cut 4 threads off of your processor. So that means now having that extra performance, you're going to have less. So that's pretty much what it comes down to be. You get less performance. That's the reason why that their Raptor Lake can't keep up with the 7800X3D, because they cut performance. They mentioned server systems like the Xeon 6. Yeah, I know. I heard about the Xeon 6 with 144 E cores. Yeah. What is 144 E cores going to equal up to? Do the math. I mean, it takes how many E cores to equal one P core? That's you gotta remember. You get half the performance with your E cores compared to your P cores. So you need 2 E cores to equal 1 P core. So basically that's how you have to look at it. So basically take 144 divided into 2. And that's how many P cores you got. Simple. So, they also said Arrow Lake will have some minor differences compared to Lunar Lake. Yeah, because they're taking the same E cores that they're using for the Xeon 6 and adding it to the new Arrow Lake processor. That is being said. So it does no good. I mean, Arrow Lake's not going to be as great as everybody thinks so. Player says, all right, I'm back. Welcome back, man. I had to go do something. Well, welcome back. Pseudoscientist says, we all know what? Bathroom break? Incorrect. Well, think about it, guys. You know, I know look, I'm going to tell you, I'm impartial right down the middle when it comes to Intel or AMD or NVIDIA or any of these companies. I just call it right down the middle. Okay? Like I told you, if their product is good, I'm going to tell you. If their product's bad, I'm going to tell you. Either way, I'm going to tell you. I've said this 1,000 times. Doesn't matter what company it is. I'm not a fanboy of Intel. I'm not a fanboy of AMD. I'm not a fanboy of NVIDIA or Asus or MSI or Gigabyte or ASRock. I'm a fan of the hardware. That's what I'm a fan of, the hardware. If the hardware is good, I am a fan. If the hardware is bad, I am not a fan. So simple as that. For Intel, it is a good deal because they can pack 4 E cores on the die area that could be occupied by 1 P core, cutting costs and increasing multi-thread performance. Yeah, but you're using efficiency cores to take the place of a performance core. It's like I said, there's a difference between being able to take 4 dinky straws and being able to shove chapstick down any one of those 4 straws. It's going to back up. The information is going to back up in that processor, and there's going to be problems. It's going to have a lot of latency issues. So without having one performance core that widens the pipe to allow that main stream of information through, I think they're going to have problems. I really do. I really think they're going to have a lot of problem with it. So when it comes to snappiness, we all love some native, huge cores. Yeah. We all want the native huge cores. Okay. We want something that's going to be good enough for gaming, good enough for creator work, good enough for business, and, all of the above. Why have 4 PCs when you can build one PC to have everything in itself? That's the reason why I don't have many PCs right here for everybody to see, is because I built one PC to do all that in one. At least I know my PC will do everything that I need it to do, and some. So I don't worry about the snappiness or anything else. As long as I can open up a web page within a matter of a fraction of a second, as long as I know I can watch a YouTube video with no stuttering, at least I know if I can do creator work without my system crashing, and all of the above. I'm happy with it. So, money is why they want you to buy 4 PCs. Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you this. They want everybody to keep buying PC parts. And the more parts you buy, the more broke you become. That's all they're doing is they're just shoveling out new parts, but they don't tell everybody the longevity of their parts. Your parts are going to last you between 5 and 10 years if you take care of your PC parts. They'll last you 5 to 10 years. If you treat your PC parts with kid gloves, you keep them clean, you do the right thing, your parts will last 5 to 10 years. You're not going to want another PC for the next 5, 10 years, I think. So. Well, they can keep wanting it, but what I am going to tell you guys, and this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. When the new AI thing goes full stream with Microsoft, when it goes full stream with Microsoft, and they come up with the new operating system for Windows 12, things are about to change. The PC world's about to change on everybody. And it's going to be a little bit scary because if the word on the street is still holding out, then Microsoft's going to have your PC, your operating system, on their servers. They're going to end up controlling your PC all the time. So, because in order to run that AI programming, they're wanting you to keep your PC on 24 hours. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guys. Maybe you all missed that point. Who knows? I didn't miss it. The hell if I'm keeping my PC on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Not happening. MTBK says, yeah, the fear of missing out. Must have this RTX 5090 laptops. I must. Well, it's going to be a little while waiting for that. Not unless they come out with it first. Player says, what's everyone's temp right now? For me, it's 50C. For me right now, it's 46C on my CPU. My GPU, it's 33C on my GPU. So, and believe it or not, I'm streaming and it's sitting idle. My PC is almost too idle right now. So, it's pretty sick. Machine, that 12 volt high power connector, bro. I mean, that's going to eat you up. especially if you get yourself a 90 series graphics card and you go to plug it in and your PC catches on fire, and you're going to have issues. And I'm going to tell you, I told you so. So I'm not going there with that. Even my 4060 laptop might use a 12 high power connector. Haven't opened the case yet. You know better than that, MTBK. It's a laptop. Come on, man. My PC is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm on the phone. Okay. Dr. S says 57C CPU game on. Oh, wow. Player says it reaches 80C on both under full load. Not mine, man. Under full load, I stay between 62 and 67C. Reason why? I don't beat mine up. I undervolt the processor. I run the graphics card normal, and I still get 200 FPS. I'm happy there. I don't need nothing else. Nothing else. If you can get a couple hundred FPS, that's all that matters. So, MTBK says 45C for the GPU processor. Too lazy now to install something to read the processor temperature to 60C on my estimate. Okay. Well, what else is cooking on the news, guys? What else is cooking on the news? Let's see. I don't know. It seems wild right now. Okay. So from what I'm seeing, guys, Snapdragon's not a no-go. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are saying no-go. So that I'm scratching off my books for right now until they come up with something better. Let's see what's on processor news. Oh, that seems like it's a good deal. They got a price cut of $30 on the 8000 series GPUs. You know, integrated graphics. Looks like they got a $30 price cut on Amazon and Newegg. Amazon and Newegg, $299 for the 8700G, 8600G. They got $199. 8500G is $159. So I don't know. I got my reservations about that too. I don't think I can elaborate too much on that, guys. So when it comes to that, my PC needs like 5 minutes after startup to calm down and open apps. A lot of PCs are like that when they're your older PCs. There are a lot are like that. With sleep, I don't have to wait any time now. Yeah, Now that you're reminding me, almost made me yawn there, but I keep mine running and do stuff. Well, me, I turn mine off for the simple fact if I'm not using it, I can't see keeping it running. Even if it's running up to 28 to 30 to 40 watts, still it's running. There's no sense in me keeping it on. So I'm a firm believer after years ago dealing with lightning strikes and stuff like that, guys. Leaving your PC on to get that static electricity, I don't believe in doing it. I don't think I can ever do that. I've already had one PC totally just give up its life because it was on during a thunderstorm, and the amount of heat that radiated from the lightning that struck close to the house, it just totally wiped it out. I'm just a firm believer not to leave my PC on anymore. So, that's just me. So, and I did want to talk about something too. The 7900 X3D. The 7900 X3D. Price point being at $314. Looking at the 5800 X3D being at a price point of $330. And looking at the price point of the 7800 X3D being at the price point of $340. What I don't get is that it has a 140 megabytes of cache on it. On that 7900 X3D. 140 megs. When the 7800 X3D's got 104. Am I missing something? Or is everybody telling me that the 7800 X3D is faster than the 7900 X3D? One's 8 cores and the other one's, 12 core? Is it 12 core? I think it is 12 core. So, you're telling me an 8-core 16-thread processor is going to wipe the pants off of a 12-core 24-thread processor. Could be Windows scheduling that's causing that issue. That's when it comes to my mind that turning off Windows scheduling, which we'll have a video on that sooner or later, to turn off Windows scheduling so you can run your cores at whatever speed you want. If you're running a game at full load, you want all your cores. So, we'll just have to see. Residual ripple, better to be low on good power supply, and I'd feel good to go, even versus the God of Thunder. We'll see after testing. The 7900 X3D has 4x, 1 meg, just say 4 megs of L1 for each core. L2 is 32 meg, and the rest is on L3. So yeah, you got 104 versus 140. Wouldn't you think that the 7900 X3D would be a faster running processor? If it's clocked correctly, it could be. If it's clocked correctly, it could be. I want y'all to understand this and read my lips. If it's clocked correctly, it could be faster than an 8-core processor. If you can get all 12 of those cores to ramp up all core, and even that single core, if you can get it to ramp up, then, that'll be a trick and a half. Something to work on. Pretty sure the tests are done on Windows, on Linux. The results will be very different, probably. Yeah, because you got to remember the way Linux runs. It's bare bones system. When you first get it, it's pretty much basically bare boned. Windows is not bare boned. Because even if you download it from Microsoft, it still comes with a ton of bloatware. But when you download Linux, you can get Linux Mint, and it doesn't have a bunch of bloatware, and you can add whatever you want to it. So that's if you like to do coding and you don't want to stay with Windows operating system forever. Pretty much, Windows operating system is pretty much doing all the legwork for you, so you don't have that much legwork to do. So that's something to take in consideration. So a scientist says, I don't know enough to run Linux. Well, a lot of people don't. There's a lot of things you have to do. Not a lot, but there's some things you have to do on Linux in order to have it run just as good as you had it on Windows. Linux does not come with an antivirus program. Do keep that in mind. So you're running out in the wild when it comes to Linux. But on Windows, on the other hand, you get free antivirus software that stays up to date, that you never pay for. So that's a perk. That is a perk. Not unless you want to go with Kaspery or something like that. Then you're going to be paying extra for that, when all you had to do is pay for your product key, install it on Windows, and you got free antivirus software. So that's how you got to look at it too. You got to look at the pros and the cons. How much pros you get from Windows compared to the cons. If you're worried about Microsoft looking into what you're surfing on, then get a browser that's going to lock Microsoft out so you can go play with your porns. If that's what you're doing on the side and you don't want Microsoft to see. That's pretty much what I was sitting there thinking. Well, I don't want Microsoft to look into, I don't want to be on their server with me having an account with Microsoft and my computer because I don't want them to see what they're doing. Yeah, well, you're probably doing porn. Who knows? Am I wrong about this? It's pretty much what it comes down to, man. You don't hear the ladies talk about it They just use their system and they're done. The guys, they say, oh, well, I don't want Microsoft to do this, this, and this. You got more guys that's on the tube saying they don't want this compared to the ladies that don't say anything. You know, it's either they're worried about, it's either the guys are worried about watching porn or the ladies are worried about losing money of guys watching porn. Who knows? It doesn't add up to me. Yep. And that's the reason why I mentioned Kaspersky, pseudoscientist, is because they were in cahoots with Russia. They got banned. No one can use Kaspersky in the United States. Supposedly. This is supposed to be the futuristic kind of thing. So, that's another thing that was brought up on the news line. Half a dozen Microsoft employees quit their jobs because they saw me watching VTubers. Well, you mean Y-tubers. Don't be playing at the Y, bro. Don't be playing at the Y. I had to get that in there really quick. I use Windows Defender. They are going to snoop anyway and better than most paid security. Yep, I do agree, pseudoscientist. I do agree. I mean, you get it for free. I'm telling you, I ain't going to cry about it. You get it for free. What the hell? There's a lot of programs that you can get from Microsoft that are for free. I mean, if it's the matter of you thinking that they're watching your PC, then get a local account. Go local. And that way you don't have an email account with Microsoft and you don't have that thing to worry about. Just go local and be done. So, if you're worried about them snooping in your stuff, I'm not even worried about Microsoft really snooping into what I got going on because I've always had a Microsoft account ever since they started doing the email service. So it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to cry about it. You get your perks. What information are they going to get from me? I don't keep, I'm tell you, I don't keep personal information on my PC. Don't tell Microsoft that. Where I keep my personal information is right here. Right here. This is not loaded on my PC. This is where I keep my personal information. I don't need to worry about them snooping in my PC. Oh, because I surfed a website. So what? Everybody surfs a website. It doesn't matter. You can keep them out of your personal business just by using an SD card. And they can't see my my videos. They only can see what's on the C drive. Where you get your operating system. They can't see on your other drives. They're locked out from it. Unless they got permissions, they're locked out from your other drives. If you encrypt your sub drives, they can't get into them. So, it is what it is. That's how you got to do things. I mean, Machine says my wife watches porn. Thanks for the announcement, bro. She does not care if Microsoft knows. We talked about it. Oh boy. They gave me 1 year Caspery license on Games Convention 2009 for winning a virtual motorcycle race versus a different guy that didn't brake before corners. Good luck getting it, because over here in the US it's going discontinued. So the scientist says, I believe they snoop everything, but I lean that way. Well, they can try to snoop everything, but they can't. They can't. And the way I got my PC set up, I have them locked out from my secondary drives. I got 2 drives. I got my secondary and I got my third. They can't get into neither or. I have them completely locked out. And I'm not using BitLocker. I'm using something totally different from BitLocker, and they can't get into it. Totally different program from Microsoft. So they're completely locked out. The only thing they can snoop on is any activity I do on my PC. But as far as my videos and everything else, they can't duplicate, copy, or anything else because they're completely locked out. Simple. Machine says, I'm proud of my wife. She is a freak and doesn't care. Who knows? Jeez. Well, damn, Machine. You just had to bust out all with that. And then next, you're going to be saying, oh my God, I got nudie pictures for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, don't do it. I'm sorry I had to throw it in there. You said you busted out with that. I just summoned it up a little bit, you know. Pseudoscientist, what's the 40 for? Is that, what's the 40 for? I'm going to have to ask you that. MTBK says they can't bribe me with vodka. Yes, they can. My email is no pics. I had to make sure I got that in there. And guys, listen up. Machine ain't going to be sending no pics, so don't be asking. I know that's the first thing everybody going to be thinking of. Where's the pics? No pics. Oh, 38 to 40 million? Well, that's interesting. But what's even more interesting is the fact of I'm glad y'all are here. It's been a blast. I just want to say that really quick. You guys have been a blast. I remember going back about a year ago doing a live stream, once a week, and I get 2 or 3 in there. Not a lot of people were hanging out. Everybody thought I was a creepy old guy, and I know that you guys are going to say that back there, on that chat. And, I see how you guys are, though. But I'm just saying, you guys are the best, and thanks for hanging with me here. Every Saturday, I'm glad you guys hang out and have a great blast with you guys. So, Machine says she will be starting a Twitch channel soon, so you will have to ask her then. Pseudoscientist says, I don't chat with many channels anymore. Oh, well, yeah. I found, going and listening to the other channels and stuff, and, I do my thing. I'll go and watch their videos. I put a like on them and support their channel, and hopefully one day they'll catch on to what I'm doing and they'll come over to my channel and they'll say, okay, well, we'll do the same thing he's been doing on my videos, like giving me a thumbs up on the videos and stuff like that. Hopefully one day that these other reviewers and stuff will catch on to that and maybe they'll come over here to the channel, sit through like a couple hours of what we got cooking, and throw a positive like on the video, the live stream video would be great, but they don't. And that kind of bothers me though, because we, even being a smaller channel, you would think that these bigger channels would have a little bit of courtesy and have their at least some of their staff to take a little bit of time and check out the new channels and say, hey, maybe this is the kind of guy you want to go over there and check out and stuff like that. I understand sometimes I fall off this way, I fall off that way, but coming right down the middle when it comes down to the PC build and doing the PC, that's the heart of it all, is be able to just get to the nitty gritty and show somebody how to finish and complete their project if they can't finish their project. And I've told you guys many a times, if you had, if you're doing something on your PC and you couldn't figure it out and I'm doing a live stream, you're more than happy to bring your information right here and just say, hey, and ask me the question, how do I fix this? So I'll show you, live how to fix it. So it's not a big deal. I've always said this. It's, there's certain, I'll even stop my whole presentation just to help that person, just for that blank moment, to get them back up on the road again. I've had to do this many of times, and I've done it many of times to help people. So it doesn't, bother me to help somebody. And what I've been hearing, and I've been getting, messages on my videos, people asking questions. I give them the answers and they're thanking me. And, the one thing that I hear them say is other reviewers won't take the time to give me that answer, but you will. So I've gotten quite a few subscribers because I took my time and I answered their question to help them get to where they need to be. So it's not a big deal for me to answer your question. It's free information. Not when, you got other people out there in the world, they want you to pay for your. Now, have you ever noticed you go on to a live stream now and these ones that are monetized, they have you pay to put your chat in? I'm not going to do that, guys. I'm not going to have you guys pay to post something. I think that's rude and ridiculous. If you guys, when I get monetized and there'll be a button that says, there'll be one of those little heart buttons, but I'm not going to put it on for you to leave a message to me. That's just totally rude. I wouldn't do that. Let me read up on this chat a little bit. I like smaller channels for chatting. I follow big channels, different topics. They usually don't say much, scared of losing money. I got nothing to lose. I've been doing this for almost 2 years on YouTube, pseudoscientist. I have nothing to lose. I have subscribers to gain. If I make money on YouTube, I make money on YouTube. It just puts it towards me getting more parts for PCs and more equipment to put towards the channel. YouTube pays you for every 1,000 views 10 cents. For every 1,000 views. So you can have 100,000 views and make how much? Or you could have 10,000 views and you make how much? So I don't have any affiliate programs. I don't have any shops, stores, or whatever. I just got me. Maybe one day down the road, maybe I'll open up a store for, like stuff you guys can buy, like knickknacks or something if you want to buy something. Something like that. But I'm not asking people for money. I'm not begging people for money. That's not me. I'm not going to do it. So I'm thinking big channels are taking cash. They seem very shilly. Well, yeah, they do. But that's them. That's not me. That's not me, dude. I guarantee that. There is a newer guy, Dan Does PC. He is a closet socialist, but a good guy, fair good opinion. I've heard of him. I've seen a couple of his videos. MTBK says, yes, we try to take enough time to figure things out for fun and it's cheap. Yep. It's fun and cheap. Basically, yeah. Not unless you guys want me to do a hat trick or something like that. I don't think I really can do a hat trick, but we'll try. At least we'll try. So, MTBK says, knickknacks, huh? Someone gave me an Oreo and it's better than expected. Dr. S says, so when Windows tells me this PC cannot update to Windows 11, I will need to look for a BIOS update, right? Nope. 2 reasons why Windows 11 tells you that, or Microsoft tells you that. 1, your PC processor, the CPU processor, could be out of date, or your TPS could be at 1.2 instead of it has to be TPS 2.0 or greater. So, updating your BIOS is not going to update your motherboard, and it's not going to update your CPU. You can take the risk if you want. There's a back way to getting Windows 11 with older hardware, but there's a risk. And Windows is getting ready to block anybody and everybody that has older hardware on Windows 11. Getting ready to kick everybody back to Windows 10. That's been announced many of times. So just to let you know that. Now, if you're wanting to know what the minimal requirements are for Windows 11, it's Intel 8th gen processor or greater, or it's AMD processor Zen 3 or higher. 5000 series or higher. Sooner or later, they're going to get ready to update the AMD and the Intel ones, and they're going to move them up another generation. So do expect that to be coming. So, if you wanted the answer, that's the answer. So Doc, that's about the best you're going to get from that. You know, but when it comes to your older hardware, only way you're going to go up to Windows 11 is if you have Windows 11 compatible hardware. So let's see. Pseudo Scientist says LMAO at MTBK. Oh, I got you. Yeah. Well, I just gave you the two highlights. You know, Dr. S, I gave you the two highlights. If you got something better than Intel 8th gen, the number 8 gen or higher, then you'll be able to get Windows 11. Now with the AMD, if you got something bigger than a 5000 series, like DDR4 5000 series, then you should be able to get Windows 11. Now, if it's 4 years old, let's see. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a game. And I want y'all to answer this question very carefully. A 4-year-old processor, which gen is the 4-year-old processor? Let's see which one gets it right. I don't want to give the answer. I want to see if you guys can answer that. Go back 4 years and tell me which generation that is. Either Intel or it's either AMD or Intel or both. I want to see which one of y'all are going to get that right. See, because I can tell you, but then it's not going to make this little fun thing fun if I have to tell you. So, but what I'll do is I'll type in 4-year-old processor. That shouldn't be hard. Gemini. Seems they are setting up a 2-tier system. They willing to pay for premium and have higher systems, and the rest that don't. Yeah, well, or you could be stuck in Windows 10 and you can pay their 3 year 3 tier payment plan, where the first year you got to pay, and you're only going to get critical updates. You know, Microsoft's already said this. That's only thing you're going to get is critical updates. It has nothing to do with the antivirus or anything else. Just critical updates. If you want to stay on Windows 10 after October 2025. So you're best to save up your money if you want to get on Windows 11 and purchase yourself a Windows 11, you know, a motherboard that'll handle Windows 11 and a processor that'll handle Windows 11, so you can move forward. That's odd. My 5600G accepts Windows 11. It must be your motherboard doesn't accept Windows 11. That's why you're having that problem. As if you're running a B450 motherboard, well, no, even a B450 motherboard will do it. I know Asus, I have an Asus B450 motherboard that runs Windows 11. Huh. 5600X. Do you have a pre-built system, Dr. S? If you have a pre-built system, like a Dell or a Hewlett Packard, HP, or a Livono, that's running a non-UEF, a baseline UEFI system, then they're only going to have the TPS at 1.2. A 5600X is compatible with Windows 11. What I'll do is I'll pull it up. I'm thinking it might be your motherboard. Well, we got another 3 years before Windows 12. Probably. Don't quote me on that just yet. Because they're coming out with 24H2. So the next one up is going to be 25, and that's going to be Windows 12. A Gigabyte B550? No freaking way, man. 5600X is compatible. My 5600G is compatible. You got a problem with that motherboard. Just to be honest with you got a problem with that motherboard. Because it should be automatically TPS 2.0. Automatically. Gigabyte is kind of squirrely, though. That's the reason why I'll either get an Asus motherboard, an ASRock motherboard. I don't know about getting a MSI motherboard just yet, but Gigabyte, forget it. I wouldn't touch them anymore. They're just too squirrely for me. I mean, the way they got everything marked on their motherboard is totally ass backwards. To me, it's ass backwards. So It could be a BIOS update, but I'm not, like I tell everybody, when you do a BIOS update for your motherboard, you take that risk when it comes to that. I suggest you watch many videos and have a backup just in case that it goes wrong. Because if you update your motherboard, you do it wrong, you got nothing but a paperweight. So be careful when you upgrade your BIOS for your motherboard. If not, you're going to have a big old paperweight. So, but as far as the 5600X and the B550 motherboard should be compatible. Because my processor is a 5700X that I got right now on a B550 motherboard, an Asus Strix B550. Okay. And I got Windows 11. I even got my Livono 8th gen PC up there. That's got Windows 11 24H2. So what you got going right there, doctor? I can't tell you. You got something wrong somewhere in the works. Not unless you never updated your motherboard from the first day you bought it. That probably would explain it too, because now you're stuck on the your first time BIOS. Usually would be for Windows 10. Could be. Let me remember. Some motherboards are like that, though. Some motherboards allow you to go up to Windows 11, with no problem. I didn't have to update my motherboard to go to Windows 11. But with Gigabyte, I don't know. Maybe they got a catch-22 in there. Yeah, I know, right? If I can get Windows 11 on that PC and it's older than dirt, I know for a fact what you got cooking there, Dr. S. You can get Windows 11 on that. But if you haven't updated your BIOS since you first purchased either the computer or the motherboard, then yeah. In Gigabyte's terms, that might be something. They have a catch-22. You got to go up to a certain amount of updates in order to get a Windows 11 update. Could be possible, but I can tell you on my motherboard here, no. I didn't need any specific updates to go up to Windows 11. It's already Windows 11 compatible. Some motherboards are Windows 11 compatible, some are not. And do keep that in mind, guys. Some motherboards are compatible already out of the gate, and some aren't. But his processor is compatible with Windows 11. But his motherboard doesn't seem to be compatible with Windows 11. That's because it's a Gigabyte motherboard. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hate on Gigabyte. It is what it is. So, just saying. It is what it is. Not trying to hate on them. It's just a lot of horror stories that I hear with, their graphics cards, their motherboards, even their power supplies. I heard they were making power supplies too. And, I think Gamers Nexus already proved that point with a Gigabyte power supply. I think he popped it. I don't know. I think I seen one. I could be wrong. But I'm just saying I don't have faith and confidence in Gigabyte, especially when it comes to a crucial part of your motherboard, your system. I don't have that confidence in them. I can tell you I have my confidence in Asus when it's a AM4 motherboard. Now, as far as their AM5, I haven't gotten there yet, but when I do, we'll go through it together and I will show you guys what's cooking there. So, but anyway, guys, we did make it past a couple hours here and I've had fun with you. And it's been a blast. And I do appreciate everybody coming, spending time here. And if this is your first time here, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Hit a like onto the video and don't forget about to ring that bell so you know when I post the next video. Okay, Dr. S. Yeah, check that out and see what's cooking. Yeah, check that out. And just do yourself a favor. If you already know how to update the BIOS, then just go and update it to the current BIOS, the current date BIOS. Can't hurt. I updated mine, what was it, about maybe 5 days ago, and I got the most current BIOS in my PC, so doesn't hurt. But if you don't know how to upgrade the BIOS for your PC, I suggest you watch some videos. I think I did a video on it as well. Can't tell you where it's at because I can't remember. But if I do, I'll make sure I post a link up there for you guys. So, but anyway, it's been a blast with you guys, and I've had a lot of fun. And do remember, next week, 5 p.m., Saturday, right here, we'll be doing it again. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of new stuff for you guys for next week. And it's going to be a lot of good stuff. And I'm going to save it up through the week. So that way you guys can get, right then and there. So do stick with me on that. But anyway, I want to bid you guys have a great evening. Stay safe. And I'm going to jump out of here. So until the next time and the next video, we'll see you on the next one.